It's News 360 from our news hub here at Desawe in Kanda. My name is Alfred Okanse.
And I'm Natalie Ford. To look at the top stories this evening.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by...
Executives of the National Democratic Congress stormed Parliament to protest the Security Cooperation Agreement between Ghana and the United States of America.
Also, right to information bill laid before Parliament amidst minority raising procedural breaches.
Also ahead this evening, coalition of stakeholders on energy concession arrangements demands explanation for the shift in deadline for the Millennium Compact deal from September to December.
Danger looms as private developers fill up the Ramsar Basin designed to receive huge volumes of water to avert flooding in Accra.
And in business this evening, more than 700,000 depositors to lose 740 million cedis locked up in 272 distressed or folded up rural community banks and microfinancial institutions.
And it's still in business tonight, government restricts importation of frozen chicken.
And on the foreign front tonight, spokesperson of Zambia's President Edgar Lungu dismisses plan by main opposition party to impeach him.
We have these and more, plus some business, sports and entertainment news tonight as well. Remember, we're live on 3news.com, also on Facebook as TV3 Ghana, also on DSTV channel 279. To our first story tonight, executives and other supporters of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, Friday stormed Parliament to protest against the laying of the report of the Joint Committee on Defense and Interior and Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs regarding the Security Cooperation Agreement between Ghana and the United States of America. General Secretary Johnson Isiedu Nketia says they will not allow the country to be sold.
Before 11 a.m., the NDC executives and some supporters were seated in the public gallery of Parliament. I asked the General Secretary Johnson Isiedu Nketia what they were there for.
I'm coming to express my view as a Ghanaian and my objections about the agreement between the government of Ghana and the U.S. to allow U.S. to establish a military base on our soil.
He denied there was an existing agreement signed by the previous government on the same matter with the United States of America.
He should come and lay the document which he claims was started by NDC in Parliament so that the MPs and the general public will see the document he's talking about. It is then and only then that you can be talking about some NDC document. As we sit here, I've been a member of Parliament for 12 years, and I know that if you are going to change a law or you are going to make a new law, you look at the existing situation and then you determine what is wrong with the existing situation. All of that in the memorandum.
Minority MPs had also wore red bands.
Ghana is about to be sold. Our sovereignty is under threat, and that is why we are wearing these red bands, because the agreement, between Ghana and U.S. allowing military cooperation where we think that our sovereignty is under threat.
We need to really drum home our protest to the grand agenda of President Nana Akufo-Addo to sell out Ghana to the Americans by allowing a certain Houdros agreement, which obviously will mean that the sovereignty of Ghana has been taken over by the Americans. Apparently, even this agreement that they're talking about has no reflection on previous agreements. Because
today, a whole bunch of documents, and we are to ratify it today. We want to assure the whole Ghana that we are on a dissenting point and view, and we will stand against any force that will take Ghana for granted.
Let's stay in Parliament, as earlier members of the Economic Fighters League were refused entry into the House. The group has vehemently opposed the Defence Cooperation Agreement between Ghana and the United States of America. Solis Roscote has more.
The controversial military cooperation deal between Ghana and the United States of America, a deal that has set airwaves buzzing. One such group that has shown displeasure is the Economic Fighters League, who called on Ghanaians to storm Parliament today. Many of the protesters who denied being members of any group told the news team they had traveled from various parts of the country to witness parliamentary proceedings. Some had made their way to Parliament as early as 6 a.m. Try as they did, they could not get inside as the police on duty refused them entry.
My name is Abeku Adams. Frank Abeku Adams. I came from Cape Coast this morning. I am an individual. I happen to have friends who think like me.
Something that was done in 1998, was it bad? That is the question. And if it was bad, that's the fact that it was signed in 1998. Now make it right.
I have never worn party flag in all my life.
We are Ghanaians.
This is Ghanaian issue.
We are Ghanaians, and the politics doesn't have to come in here. We have to protect our country, and that is why we are here today.
The leader of the Economic Fighters League, Ernesto Yeboah, expressed disappointment at the situation.
The MPP and the NDC leadership want to invite us into their pettiness of Yeninaya Bopepepe. We are not interested in that. Our interest is to ensure that that paper is removed and withdrawn totally from the House of Parliament, and even from public discussion and even private discussion. And we are not going to lose that focus in ensuring the mobilization of the people of Ghana in resistance to this attempt to recolonize Ghana.
Is there a connection with this particular thing that the Economic Fighters League is doing today?
Depending on which group it is, there is a connection with the sanctity, the sovereignty of this country. We are not going to compromise on it. We have had cooperation and agreements since time immemorial, and it has inured to our benefit beyond billions of dollars. Someone to Akufo-Addo, he ain't seen nothing yet. He ain't seen nothing yet.
So what is the government of Ghana telling us? That if yesterday we didn't know that there was a noose around our neck, and today we realize that there is a noose around our neck and it can easily be pulled for us to suffocate and die. We will say that because it was done in the past, the government of Akufo-Addo is so incapable of saying that, look, this one, we can't do it.
All those clad there have been chanting and singing patriotic songs, from the national pledge to the national anthem, and to any song that speaks of the freedom and rights of the Ghanaian people. Solis Roscote, TV3, Accra.
Well, there's a development to this particular story. In Parliament, as we speak, at the moment, the Joint Committee on Defence and Interior and Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs has recommended that Parliament ratifies the Ghana-US Defence Cooperation Agreement. Now, the committee has thoroughly examined the agreement and finds that its ratification would help provide a mutually beneficial agreement for both countries. That's the latest we're getting from our parliamentary correspondent, Catherine Frimpoma, who is currently in Parliament. If you recall, today is the last day of Parliament sitting. They will be going on recess today. And so, as always being the case, the sitting runs into the night. What you're seeing on your screens right now is some live videos from what's happening in Parliament at the moment. So the House is, however, yet to deliberate and decide whether or not to adopt the report. And from what our sources tell us, this recommendation by the Joint Committee of Defense and that's a parliamentary committee on also Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs was a unanimous recommendation, meaning that both sides of the House on those two committees came to a unanimous decision that Parliament should ratify this deal. It raises questions as to what exactly were the earlier reservations and resistance that some minority MPs raising, Roxanne Dapia-Mekpo and also Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, together with other MPs, Richard Koshiga, who were all raising some questions about this. So from what's happening in Parliament, there has been a recommendation for the ratification of this particular agreement. Pretty interesting developments there, considering the level of resistance or reservations that some MPs raise. We're going to be crossing over live very shortly to Catherine Frimpoma in Parliament to tell us exactly what's happening there as we speak at the moment. So that's what you see on your screens right now. It is, however, likely the House may ratify this deal. And if that happens, it's rather going to raise lots more questions as to the concerns that some security analysts raised about this deal. We want to find out whether there were any recommendations for some parts of the deal to be changed anyway. So that's Catherine right there. Catherine, if you can hear us, what exactly is happening where you are?
Wrapping up to rise for the Easter break. We cannot tell what time exactly. It's the report of the Joint Committee on Defense and Interior, as well as the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, which was mandated to peruse the agreement between the government of Ghana and the U.S. on the defense cooperation, and to advise the House whether or not to ratify the said agreement. Now, the report of the committee has been distributed to members, and I have a copy here. The committee has thoroughly examined the agreement and finds that its ratification will provide a mutually beneficial arrangement to combat emerging global security threats, while also an existing relationship between cooperation. The committee and the House adopt this report and ratify by his.
We want to apologize for the cranky pictures you see on your screens, but clearly that's what's happening in Parliament with the recommendation by the Joint Committee on Defense and the Parliamentary Select Committee on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, making a recommendation that Parliament ratifies this Ghana-US Defense Cooperation Agreement. Now, just stay with us. We'll be crossing over again to get a lot more detail of what's happening in Parliament as we speak.
Certainly, Alfred, we return to Catherine from Pamar there. But let's turn to other stories in the meantime, as the coalition of stakeholders on energy concession arrangements is demanding reasons for the shift in the deadline for the Millennium Compact deal from September to December 2018. At a news conference in Accra, executive member of the group, Dr. Steve Mantiao, argued acceptance of the French electricity conglomerate, EDF, will not be in the interest of majority of Guineans.
The Coalition of Stakeholders on Energy Concession Arrangements, COSECA, is demanding that the Millennium Development Authority and the Energy Ministry explain why it shifted the due date and altered requirements. The group questioned the suitability of the French electricity conglomerate, EDF, which it alleged folded up in Gabon due to poor performance, and has refused to comply with the directive to have 51% of the concessionaire owned by Ghanaians.
There are troubling issues regarding another bidder seeking to take control of ECG. This bidder, BXC, is a Chinese company which has been conducting business with ECG, providing services towards system loss reduction in the Accra West region through their sister company, CB Electric. This is the company whose failure late last year caused massive disruption in the prepayment system. It bears our mind that after such exposure of their weakness on a small section of a network, they are being considered to take over the entire ECG network. Another company in the running for ECG is Meralco from the Philippines. We stakeholders have watched Meralco from the beginning and have concerns that Meralco has not shown sufficient commitment to the process. We are also not convinced that they are serious about the 51% Ghanaian participation required. We have searched and not found who their Ghanaian partners are. Information about them is generally scanty.
The group expressed disappointment about MEDA's assessment and vetting process. The group is pushing for 20% of the 51% allocation to Ghanaians for ECG workers payable through deductions. For ECG workers payable through deductions from their salaries over a period of 5 years. Well, still on this, responding to allegations by the coalition of stakeholders on the ECG concession agreement, COSECA, Chief Executive Officer of the Millennium Development Authority, Martin St. Benjamin, said the extension is to allow the bidding of the companies to fulfill the 51% concession requirement. He spoke to Non Falong.
According to the coalition, Ghana stands the risk of losing the whole compact and, in effect, derailing the power sector reforms ongoing.
Whatever it is that we must do to make it work, we will do it. So therefore, the process is still engaged, and I'm certain that whoever wins will comply with our arrangements, and there will be a holistic agreement with the person.
Chief Executive Officer of MIDA, Martin St. Benjamin, said that the change in deadline does not put the concession in danger, and MIDA will see to the fulfillment of all requirements irrespective of the extension.
The time, December, is not the finite. Just happened that we give them a chance to polish up. We are going into Parliament to present the document to Parliament for them to debate, and we surely would make sure that the person who wins complies with every arrangement that we want to put in place.
The Ghana Power Compact is expected to directly support the energy sector's strategic objectives to achieve power supply sufficiency.
Well, let's return to Parliament as the Rights to Information Bill has finally been laid in Parliament. The Speaker referred it to a joint committee on constitutional, legal and parliamentary affairs and communications for consideration and reporting when the House resumes from recess.
The bill was laid on behalf of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice by a Deputy Attorney General. The bill has not been gazetted, and the Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu raised concerns.
As I requested for my copy of this important bill, absolute support, but procedurally it should not be faulted, so that again, Mr. Speaker, Parliament will be blamed for unnecessarily delaying this. The President have made public allusion. So, date of Gazette notification after page 43, there is no indication. Mr. Speaker, bills coming here need not be gazetted. They need not. Yes. Mr. Speaker, if a bill is referred to the appropriate committee, the committee may determine if it is of urgent nature. If it is, it needs not be gazetted before consideration by that committee.
The Speaker indicated it is only the committee that can determine if the bill should be of urgent nature. Members of the committee are expected to work on the bill whilst on recess and report to the House when they resume work in May 2018. There have been calls by many Ghanaians to have the Right to Information Bill passed. This compels the President to have made a promise that the bill will be passed before Parliament goes on recess. But as it stands, Parliament will rise on Friday, March 23, without its passage.
Well, on MTN Video Reports this evening, Wisdom Anan reports from Kongono in the Ningo Pram constituency on a pole that has been erected in the middle of a road causing accidents.
This light pole is in the middle of the road. The pole is here once the contractor started building the road. And they refuse to remove the pole from the roadside so that the vehicles that do use the road will have good access to pass by. Most drivers use their vehicles to hit the pole, while some Okada drivers also do the same. So we are appealing to the government and the stakeholders to come to our aid so that they can be able to remove the pole from the road, so that the vehicles and other motor riders will have their successful way of passing or using this particular road. Once again, I'm Anan Wisdom, reporting from Kongono.
You can also send your video report via 055-1433-044, 055-1433-044.
Absolutely. So share those videos with us via MTN Video Reports. You're watching News 360. Still ahead tonight. Danger looms as private developers fill up the Ramsar Basin, designed to receive huge volumes of water to avert flooding in Accra.
And in business tonight, more than 700,000 depositors to lose 740 million cedis locked up in 272 distressed or folded up rural community banks and microfinance institutions.
And more in business this evening, government restricts importation of frozen chicken.
And spokesperson of Zambia's President Edgar Lungu dismisses plans by main opposition party to impeach him. There's more in business after this. To stay.
Thanks so much for staying with us on News 360. It's time for business. My name is Nanikia Mensah Brampa. And to our headline story for tonight, the Bank of Ghana has indicated that over 700,000 depositors of distressed or collapsed microfinance institutions and rural and community banks are at risk of losing a total of 740.5 million Ghana cedis. Reacting to this pronouncement, banking consultant and lecturer Dr. Richmond Itiahene said the regulator must exert its authority to prevent a total collapse of the sector.
Giving a breakdown of the figures, Dr. Addison said of the 566 licensed microfinance institutions in 2018, 211 of them are active, but the rest are either distressed or folded up. Out of the 141 rural and community banks, 37 are active but distressed or folded up. In total, it is estimated that 272 out of the 707 institutions in the subsector, representing 38.5%, are at risk. This indicates that approximately 740 million Ghana cedis is owed to an estimated 705,396 depositors of the distressed or folded up microfinance institutions and rural and community banks. It comes at a time when the Bank of Ghana has put Unibank Ghana Limited under administration for 6 months, after which its ownership will revert to private shareholders. In August last year, the Bank of Ghana reviewed the licenses of UT and Capital banks after declaring them illiquid and deficient in capital. Reacting to the latest developments, banking consultant Dr. Richmond Itiahene said the regulator has the sole responsibility to ensure financial institutions in the country comply with the law so as to prevent a total collapse of the sector.
We really want to help the banking system. I'm not prophesying as a prophet of a doom. Every 30 years or 28 years, Ghana will be facing the same challenge. It's a cycle in banking. So we must be prepared in the long time to see how best we can subdue this. And we do this with strict enforcement of corporate governance. I won't stop corporate governance. Because the problem we have with Ghana is that we have financial sector deregulation in 1988. As I speak to you, it is only about a month ago I saw that corporate governance booklets have been issued to the banks. How on earth do we deregulate without having enforcement of corporate governance?
In spite of the challenges facing players in the rural and community banks and the microfinance institutions, Dr. Addison said the outlook for the financial sector was positive.
Right, now to some good news for local poultry farmers. Government has restricted the importation of frozen chicken now. According to the Minister of State at the Presidency in charge of Food and Agriculture, Dr. Gaili Nora, this policy direction is to help revamp the local poultry industry. The ban on imported frozen chicken, he indicated, is in response to the cry of domestic poultry actors that the trade practice is one of the major challenges collapsing the local poultry industry. Now, according to the Ghana National Association of Poultry Farmers, over 135,000 metric tons of frozen chicken was imported from the European zone to Ghana in 2017, and this represents a 76% increase over the 2016 imports. The minister, however, hinted that government will not hesitate to reverse the import restriction on frozen chicken if local producers are unable to meet the demand of the market, thereby urging local poultry producers to redouble their efforts to address the artificial shortage. Right, so later on News at 10 tonight, we will be getting some answers from the local Poultry Farmers Association on how they intend to meet demand with this ban on frozen chicken. But to some more news, the Commercial Taxi Drivers Association are petitioning President Akufo-Addo to take a second look at the activities of Uber transportation service in the country. They suggest the Uber service does not follow the rules and regulations governing the Road Traffic Act 204 LI 2180 Regulation 130. Now, according to the association, it has reported what they describe as an illegal transportation service rendered by Uber to Deputy Minister of Transport Titus Glover, but no action has been taken. Rather, the minister insists on going to Parliament to amend the road traffic regulation to suit other interests. Now, the association has warned all taxi drivers are ready to rebrand their cars to private vehicles in order to avoid levies expected to be paid by commercial drivers. And 2 customers have won a plot of land each in the Win a Peace promotion by Guinness Ghana. 14 more plots are up for grabs in the promo intended to give loyal customers an opportunity to win plots of land at Apollonia in the Bonkatamanso district of the Greater Accra region.
The promotion, launched in March, formed part of activities to mark the country's 61st independence anniversary celebrations. The promotion, which would run till June, will also offer consumers the chance to win instant prizes. More than 200,000 entries have been received, a clear indication that most Ghanaians want to own parcels of land. The Communications and Engagement Manager for Guinness, Rita Roxon, lauded Apollonia City for the support.
We've already offered 2 plots of land already in the past 2 weeks. We are waiting for the 3rd winner next week, so all consumers should look out for their names. If you have consumed your bottle of Guinness, you have texted the unique code to 2125. This is the land that you will be winning.
The CEO for Apollonia City, Kwadwo Owusu Afriyie, said it was heartwarming to see the dreams of people who wanted to own land come true.
For instance, planted trees to ensure that the environment is sustainable. We are creating a truly remarkable ambience. Once you enter into Apollonia, as you can see, almost 30% of the entire development is green, which allows public open areas where families, and children can play around and also enjoy a very serene environment, which helps to control pollution as well.
Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, Kwadwo Owusu Afriyie, lauded the initiative. There are 14 more plots of land to be won in the ongoing promotion.
Let's talk taxes now, and Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia says government has removed value-added tax on more than 1,000 items aside tax cuts in the 2018 budget statement, and he was interacting with young entrepreneurs at a forum organized by the National Youth Authority here in Accra.
The Vice President said government made a decision following complaints by importers despite some tax cuts in the 2018 budget. The removal of the import VAT on some items, he noted, is intended to promote a business-friendly environment and expand the economy.
In the context of planting for food and jobs, for example,
maize and sorghum production and all of that, to try to see how we can reduce the cost of feed in this country. It's one of the biggest costs in there. Just yesterday, as I said, you saw the import VAT on day-old chicks, which were taken out. But it is a work in progress, and we believe that we should support our poultry farmers so that they can produce the chicken that we eat on a daily basis here.
The interaction with the young entrepreneurs was to get first-hand information on their challenges in setting up businesses. Some participants complained about the high cost of credit and how they could access government stimulus packages for startup businesses. The Vice President, Dr. Muhammad Baumia, spoke about new initiatives to enable banks reduce interest rates.
Government is also taking steps to deal with legacy borrowing, which is imposing a burden on the commercial banks. And second, to improve the overall access to and inclusion of the financial sector.
Minister for Business Development, Dr. Mohammed Awal, revealed that between 500 to 1,000 cities has been earmarked to support startups from June this year.
One of the main challenges we have in this country is that 75% of all businesses that are set up do not go beyond 3 years because they lack mentors, they lack cheap funding, and they lack innovation. NEP would provide all these services.
The Minister of Youth and Sports, Isaac Asiama, emphasized on a new training model to equip the youth for the job market.
Encouraging you to grow into big businesses so that eventually government does not have to go always around looking for aid. Ghana Beyond Aid starts from you.
Other business-oriented Ghanaians praised government for restoring and maintaining macroeconomic stability.
Right, so we have more news updates on 3news.com. Visit there for more business. My name is Nanikia Mensah Brampa. Let's go back to Alfred now, talking water and flooding.
Absolutely. Nana, thank you. For business tonight, danger looms as a Ramsar basin designed to receive huge volumes of water after rainfall in Accra is being filled up with sand by private developers. Well, consequently, the Engineering Council of Ghana has warned of massive flooding in Accra if the basin gets blocked.
The Ramsar site is situated about 1 kilometer away from the Malan market in Accra. It is a conservation area designed to hold volumes of water from the Lafa Basin also within the same location. Private developers have encroached on the area and are undertaking vigorous activities in the reserve, thereby filling up the basin.
This is a community that is in a low-lying area. And since we have been here, more than 20 tipper trucks have been in here to tip their sand. They are using it to fill the low-lying area or the swampy area. But residents say this is a disaster in waiting.
I don't know what the government will do about it, but if they should try to do something, they should do it fast, because when June comes, because people are still doing this, they are taking tipper, going to this area, filling, but the filling too is the same people who are staying the down.
We
don't have the courage to stop them. Their activity is a threat to our survival. When they fill up the basin, our homes will be flooded after heavy rains.
Surprisingly, these tipper trucks cut sand from the Marine Drive project site behind the Arts Center and transport it all the way to the Malam area, where it is used to fill the drain. With the rains expected in June, the Engineering Council is warning government to stop the developers.
The area you call the Ramsar site is the basin that receives water from the Lafa stream and the Bale stream. The Lafa stream takes its sources from the Santa Maria, Soutum, and Anya, all those areas, and bring all the flow down to the basin. What is happening now, it needs the attention of government, so that government can, or the assembly in particular, when I talk of government, it's the assembly, because the assemblies are in the area. They have the mandate of approving structures that will have to be built in certain areas. They zone areas for built up. So they will have to quickly come in. Is this area now being zoned for residential development? If not, what we do, we quickly have to stop the spread of the development.
Coincidentally, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, AMA, in 2010 demolished 3 buildings because they were too close to the site, but 8 years later, countless structures have sprung up within the same area.
Well, a rather worrying situation there. We'll be hoping that the appropriate authorities step in to prevent flooding in the area. We'll bring you more on it subsequently. But in other stories this evening, an Accra Human Rights Court has dismissed an application asking it to compel the Commission of Inquiry for the creation of new regions to extend its consultation to the southern part of the Volta region. The court, presided over by Justice Gifty Addo, upheld the argument of the Attorney General that the issues being raised were debatable because the time set for hearings in the Volta region had passed.
The suit filed by the Chief of Sorogbe, Togbe Katamia, and 5 others was also for the court to order the commission to hold the hearings on whether a new region should be carved out of the present Volta region or not. This matter was not dealt with by the court since the initial orders by the applicant to sue the commissioner and the Minister of Regional Reorganization were dismissed. The court in its ruling dismissed the decision of the applicants to sue the chairman of the Commission of Inquiry and the Minister for Regional Reorganization. The argument was that Article 279, Clause 2 of the 1992 Constitution precludes commissions of inquiry from being sued for their work. The court further upheld the argument that the applicants had failed to make a case against the Minister for Regional Reorganization and should not have sued him, but instead their concern was to be directed to the Attorney General. The applicant argued that they decided to petition the Commission because they felt that persons who lived in the southern part of the region were being discriminated against in the process. According to them, the decision to select venues for the hearings, which were predominantly based in the north, constitute an exclusion of the people in the south, despite the fact that a regional split would affect the entire region.
We're still live here on News 360 from the News Hub at Disawe Kanda, streaming live all across the world on 3news.com and TV3 Ghana on Facebook. We've got sports news with Thierry Nan coming up shortly. Stay with us.
Good evening. It's time for us to bring you some sports news right here on News 360. My name is Thierry Nyana. We are starting off with Accra Hearts of Oak. Now, they are ready to play at the Cape Coast Stadium for the very first time in the Ghana Premier League this weekend as their home side. The Phobians had to change their home ground after government's decision to rehabilitate the Accra Stadium. Head coach Henry Wellington calls for massive support from fans there.
Here being our home ground, that they've accepted it, I must say we are very, very grateful. We are going to take one match after the other, so I cannot predict anything. No, we want to. Our hope is to win every match. So that is our prayer, our prayers for now. We will tell the central region, not only central region, from the neighboring town to, I mean, they should come in marks to support us. But I'm promising them that House of Oak will not disappoint them here.
All right, so let's focus on some of those games, or all of the games you are to expect this weekend in the Ghana Premier League after the opening round last weekend. This is match day 2. Well, it's going to be a very, very good one at Elmina because Sharks are going to be playing against Aduana Stars. Now, this will be the very first game for Aduana Stars in their title defense, and of course, the first game after their CAF Champions League exit. Hearts of Oak are going to be playing for the very first time, so it's going to be a series of firsts for quite a number of clubs. Hearts first is the fact that they are playing at the Cape Coast Stadium instead of the Accra Sports Stadium against Ashanti Gold. Liberty Professionals, well, it will be the first game, and new head coach Reginald Asante Boateng, a.k.a. Reggae, popularly known as that in Dansoman. They'll be playing against Wafa. Karela will play their very first home game in the Ghana Premier League. Of course, they're making their debut season. This one will be against 11 Wonders. Asante Kotoko will be playing against Inter Allies. Bichem United against Mediama Sporting Club. Wow Stars, the 2016 champions, against Ibisua Dwarfs, and then Brekum Chelsea. The last time they won the title was in 2013. They'll be coming up against Dreams FC. They'll be hoping to win it for a very first time this season. So let's see exactly how this particular one goes. We move away from here. We go straight to Zlatan Ibrahimovic, because that man was described by LA Galaxy as one of the winningest players of all time, whatever that means. After completing a move to the Major League Soccer club, Ibrahimovic arrives on a free transfer following the mutual termination of his contract with Manchester United on Thursday. Ibrahimovic's signing was announced in an advert in the LA Times, with Galaxy later officially confirming the deal. Zlatan added, later in the advert, "Dear Los Angeles, welcome to Zlatan."